Hello, TheSuffolkRam here from Rant Nerds. Welcome to my review of Doctor Who Episode 9, Series 9, Sleep No More. There may be minor spoilers ahead. I'll do my best to be spoiler-free, but if you don't want anything spoiled, turn off now. So Sleep No More takes place on a space station orbiting Neptune, home to Dr. Rasmussen, who has been conducting experiments into basically allowing to give people the opportunity to sleep, but not actually have to sleep. So basically they can go to a device called Morpheus. And they go and they go for about 5 minutes, and then they're good to go for an entire month. Now, there's already a version on the planet already. This is like a version 2 he's been working on. So his stage is about experiments, and as is always the case when you have scientists on Doctor Who, most of the time their experiments go horribly wrong, and some really creatures being created as a result of it. And it turns to a sort of very classic horror story of a small group of people trapped in somewhere trying to defeat the monsters and get out and get escape, basically. So a relatively classic threat. I don't know why, but when I was watching the whole time, I got reminded of Under the Lake and Before the Flood, the two-parter. It felt like a fairly similar, not quite the same premise, but sort of similar sort of general theme. A group of people trapped, and it's something that has happened to Doctor Who quite often. And I generally like, but for some reason this just didn't feel like quite worked. I mean, the group of people you've got, they're a group of Marines who've gone aboard the space station. They meet up with Doctor and Clara, and eventually they meet up with the scientist himself, and it's their sort of exploits. I mean, it's quite nifty how it's filmed. It's filmed in, like, well, initially it's meant to be from all their head cams, so you're filming from their sort of point, almost their personal point of view. There's from CCTV, meant to sort of conjure up sort of Blair Witch Project, and I just noticed quite early on that somehow this didn't seem quite right, because some of the shots didn't seem they could be coming from a logical place. I thought, that seems a bit weird. Have we switched back to normal filming? And then knowing that later, turns out that was involved in a twist later on, which I thought was quite neat. The monsters themselves, I thought, were a bit naff. I thought the idea behind them, where they've come from, just somehow seemed very, very silly. What they're created of, I mean, both from a sort of ideological sense and also from a physical sense, I don't think that what they're made of you could create enough through a lack of sleep, without giving too much away, to make actually a physical body. It just felt very weird and didn't feel quite right. And I'm quite shocked because this is written by Mark Gatiss, and usually his episodes are really good. So I was quite disappointed with the episode as a whole. It's not bad by any means. Oh no, it's not an awful episode. And it's better than most episodes from last season, but it's just not brilliant either. So I was a bit disappointed, if I'm honest, with the episode. Also, I thought that the continuity of it sounded a bit weird. Towards the end, the very sort of cliffhanger of it sort of ends on a downer ending, where it's like, okay, it's not the end, but it doesn't really resolve anything, and it feels weird to feel that something isn't being resolved. So it just didn't quite work as an episode, and I was quite disappointed with it, and I just thought some of the continuity was wrong, some of the shots just seemed a bit logical. It just felt very, very weird. So in that base, it was unfortunately not a brilliant episode, unfortunately. So character-wise, Doctor and Clara are on their usual form. Clara actually is still retaining her quality she's developed recently, and it seems to be getting well better written this season. She's developing and maintaining it. Peter Capaldi, as always, is an excellent Doctor, and in his episode he's been excellent acting throughout, so no complaints against him. You then have Rhys Shearsmith playing Dr. Rasmussen. I thought a nice performance. He hammed up a little bit, and he come off and saw the mad scientist quite well. I thought he played that quite nicely, so he did well in that respect. Now, this is which we have to go to my list of characters and names to remember who's who. Oh, sorry, that was my dog. Let's have a look. So we've got Nagata. Now she's the Marines commander, played by Elaine Tan. Okay character. A lot of Marine characters, to be honest, no one really grabbed. No one stood out for me. They all felt very sad. I do really sort of attachment to, and although she had perhaps the most character development of the lot, never really sort of. She's very one-dimensional. I felt. I didn't feel we knew much about her. There's a couple of sort of hints at her personality type, but it felt very one-dimensional. You then got Chopra, played by a chap called Neat Morgan. Again, quite one-dimensional, new really felt character. I mean, I couldn't tell you an interesting fact about him at all, apart from he didn't use Morpheus. That's really an interesting fact about him. So, talk about their background. You've then got Deep Ando. Oops, sorry, my dog is making a bit of noise. I do apologise. Played by Paul Cortan. He was not, I have to say, again, same problem. I just didn't feel any connection. I mean, he disappeared relatively early on, so there's only so much can go on with that. But yeah, it's not brilliant. And they have a character called Grunt. It's called 474, who is a grunt, who's like this sort of vat-grown clone, played by Bethany Black. And there's some things set up about her character early on, like how that they will respond to any physical attack, but then it was nothing ever made of it later on. Nothing really sort of followed on from that. And I thought there was some quite interesting parts about the episode where they could have done something with it and they didn't. And they didn't really work on. And the sort of morality of what she was and who she was is all very briefly brushed upon, not really dealt with. So I have to say overall I thought the characters were not brilliant, if I have to be honest. Nothing really jumped out at me, which is a shame really. Production-wise, I thought the episode was excellent, generally speaking. As we mentioned, Mark Gatiss wrote it. Now, he's been some excellent episodes in the past. All his episodes have been fantastic. But this one I felt was a bit of a weak one. Wasn't up to... I think I can see what he's trying to do. I can see how he's trying to do it. He did some neat things, like they got the title sequence, which is very interesting. They're having no title sequence to sort of immerse people more. And also, it's being a writer who's been in the series a lot and has done quite good things. He's also got a little bit more oomph to do that. I can't believe some of the newer writers would be able to get away with that. But I have to say it fell a bit flat. I didn't feel the episode was very well structured. I thought the storyline was a bit pants, if I'm honest. I've already mentioned before, I just didn't feel the continuity felt right. This one, the sort of conclusion of it felt very ham-fisted. So I have to say, not brilliant for much. So sadly, because Mark Gatiss is one of my favourite writers on Doctor Who, and I was quite disappointed in the end result of this episode, unfortunately. CGI-wise, I thought it was fantastic. There are some nifty bits where they have like a HUD. Frequently, they can project it like onto surfaces, and which is not really a million miles away from what we can do now. With like some camcorders can do that, and some we obviously have other things. But it works really well. It looks so well done. I mean, it's little neat things like when one character's projecting it, as he's moving his body around just so gently, it's following him. Really neatly done. I mean, I'm one of those things that if I found it was actually a real effect, you know, they hadn't faked it at all, they actually got a real setup to do it, really clever sort of like laser or something, I wouldn't be surprised. And it may be. I doubt it, but it may be. I thought it was a really neat little effect. The overall monster design was a bit pants, if I'm honest. They just like sort of blobs of congealed fat, really, rather than a sort of threat. They just didn't feel threatening. They also made the mistake early on of showing very early on, the very first time you've seen it is a really brief glimpse, and that worked really effectively. But then later on, they show you the whole monster, you know, sort of, and that just didn't work. It sort of ruined the whole mystery. You're trying to create this horror atmosphere, and then you show me the monster, and you've ruined it. Not brilliant, if I'm honest. Not brilliant at all. I also have questions about the end of the episode. Now, as I mentioned, Doctor Who is a family programme. It should be, and despite for the late watershed, which late time of it, which I'll mention in a moment, it's always been a very family-oriented episode. And I felt the ending of it, at the very last scene, was quite gruesome. In a way, I thought it was quite horrific, and I can imagine a child watching it being quite scared by it. Really sad, really, at the end of it, and it's showing Doctor Who in a darker light, which I don't really want it. It shouldn't go down because it's made a mistake in the past. It needs to keep a little bit lighter. So some things really good about it, some things not so good about it, but production was a mixed bag of this episode, I have to say. While I'm on the subject, I just want to briefly mention about Peter Capaldi was in the newspapers last week talking about the scheduling of Doctor Who. That he feels the reason ratings have gone down is the fact that it's on too late. And I agree with him totally. I think it's on way too late. I mean, it's on 8:15. Way too late in the evening for an episode. It's a family programme. It's meant to be watched by the whole family around the TV. Now, we want to argue that if Doctor Who's, we should be more outdoors. No, it's not. It's a family show. Kids would be watching it. Now, I think the mistake they've made is that the people who started watching it back in 2005, the kids who got into it, obviously they've grown up, they've adapted. I mean, it's been on for nearly, 10 years now it's been going back. Well, yeah, 2005, 10 years. And it's, I suppose, they think, they've matured, we better evolve with them. That's fine. You can put the darker stuff in, but you've got to keep the family stuff in there as well. You've got to still make it accessible for new fans to come on board and new fans to watch and then go back and watch all the old episodes. And if you make it too dark, it doesn't work very well. So I have to say, apologies for the noise that's in the background at the moment. I'm doing this a bit sort of quickly, I don't normally do. I have to say, I just feel it's going the wrong way. And this late scheduling is awful. How many parents might have kids who normally watch it but have their bedtime? They'll stay up to 8:15, or they'll probably be tired by this point. I think they've got it all wrong, completely wrong. And I have to say, BBC, you need to put it forward. And another thing, BBC, if you're going to keep on late nights, keep a consistent time. Every week, 12:15, 12, quarter past 8, 8, 8 p.m. 30 seconds past 8:01. Just put a time on every week, because every week I have to look up and work out what time it's coming on. I can't just let's get Doctor Who, 8 o'clock, Doctor Who's on now. No, I'm just thinking, okay, what time's on tonight? It's ridiculous. Just put it on a consistent time. Anyway, that's my little rant over. It's not really relevant to the review, but I just had to put it in there because it's been bugging me for the last few weeks. So final thoughts, I thought the episode was okay. Nothing special, nothing brilliant. I thought it could have been better. I felt it was a bit of a so-so episode, if I'm honest. But overall, it's not terrible. I mean, not compared to some of the rest of last year. It's definitely a lot better than most ones from last year, to be fair. Okay-ish, I'd say. So, I hope you've enjoyed watching this review. My name's TheSuffolkRam. Please, if you enjoy, subscribe to our channel. We do Let's Plays, do reviews, we do lots of videos up here when we get time to do them. And the main focus is Doctor Who, and I'm working on some Let's Plays at the moment, which I'm in the process of editing and should be up and running soon. But if you like, subscribe. So thank you much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next review. Thank you very much. Goodbye.